JameStation64.
Welcome to the very first episode of JameStation64. I'm James and I'll be taking you on a deep dive into the history of all things from Nintendo's 5th generation machine, the Nintendo 64. Over these episodes, I'll be guiding you through every Nintendo 64 game released in the UK over the years, starting from the very beginning, the launch of the Nintendo 64 in the UK, the 1st of March 1997. There's also plans for other shows looking at the N64 and even checking out some other consoles too. For now though, there is one place to start, and that's with one of the most famous and important games ever made, a launch title for the Nintendo 64, and that is Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 was the brainchild of the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto, the man who not only created Mario but several other legendary Nintendo franchises, from Zelda to Donkey Kong to Metroid. With the vision of a living, interactive cartoon in his mind and the technology to bring that vision to life finally, he and his team created exactly that. A world full of colour and character that drew the player in and let the player just have fun. This was such a crucial release for Nintendo that the console launch was actually pushed back so it could launch with the absolute best possible version of the game. Nintendo knew this would be something special and the delays would prove worth it. It has an incredibly simple premise, like most Mario games. Bowser kidnaps Princess Peach and Mario has to defeat Bowser and save the princess. Even more importantly, Peach has baked Mario a cake, and if you don't save her, you're not getting the cake. So of course, that's the best possible reason to actually go and save her and complete the game, isn't it really? But to save her, you've got to explore her castle first, and all the levels or courses as they're called in the game, which are hidden therein. Within the castle and these courses, there are 120 power stars to find. By finding all these power stars, you gain access to further parts of the castle. As such, the game plays in a very non-linear fashion, which means you can go and explore at your leisure. Stuck on a particular course? Then just go to another course and try and get some power stars there. As such, you'll not find yourself without a way forward. And you only need 70 power stars to actually get to the final battle and defeat Bowser. And this is an easy enough achievement I think for most gamers. Even younger gamers should be able to achieve this with a bit of time. On the other hand, if you're a more experienced gamer who finds that a bit too easy, then why don't you go and try and get 120 power stars and try and get that little Easter egg right at the end. The most immediate thing I find when starting up Super Mario 64 is the controls. Moving Mario around is just so much fun. You're in complete control of Mario and are able not just to move around and jump, but utilise a variety of other styles of jumps, from triple jumps to long jumps to wall kicks and so on. What I enjoy about this is that you have to manually input all these moves. There's no pressing one button to do a really fancy complicated move here. You have to input all the moves yourself, and it works brilliantly and is surprisingly simple. Wall jumps are a bit hit and miss, it has to be said. Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube, the follow-up to this, would improve on that dramatically, but otherwise it's implemented beautifully. Mario is always under your control, so that when you do something that looks impressive and is quite cool, then you know that's all on you, and not because the game did it for you. And for the same token, when you screw up, then that's on you, and you can learn from it and try something different, and next time, that might end up giving you some success. On the presentation front, Mario 64 sticks to a cartoony aesthetic. Although simplistic in its approach, it aged remarkably well, especially compared to some really ultra-realistic looking games from the time. Cartoony games tend to have a longer shelf life because they're not trying to do anything that the console can't do generally. Yes, textures are simple and often just solid colours, but this fits in well with the style that Miyamoto was going for, that interactive cartoon. There is some pop-up, but it's very distant and entirely forgivable given the technology and small size of the cartridge. At only 8MB, that's actually just a quarter of the size of, say, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and an eighth of the size of some of the later games, so it's an incredible achievement at the time. From a sound point of view, Mario 64 doesn't try to reinvent the wheel or attempt anything groundbreaking. The music is simple and catchy, and the sound effects do as you would expect, with the occasional snippet of vocals from Mario or Bowser's evil laugh. This adds to the feel that Mario 64's focus was purely on getting the most out of gameplay and not trying to blow you away by over-relying on frills. The worlds themselves possess a good variety, even if they are slightly cliched for the most part. There's water levels, sand levels, grass levels, lava levels, etc. However, each has its own character, whether it be a sunken ship which rises to the surface for later power stars in Jolly Roger Bay, or the way a tiny huge island morphs from big to small by going inside warp pipes. There's enough here to keep you going. Certain levels feel more like living worlds, whereas others feel more like obstacle courses. Either are fine, quite frankly. Add in secret cap courses where you have to gain the ability to use the metal invisibility or flying caps, the Bowser levels where you will fight Bowser at the end of them, and a few secret mini levels dotted throughout the castle. There's so much fun and variety. Certain levels are less fun than others, but honestly there's none I dislike or hate. Every single one of them has an appeal. Within the levels there's some memorable characters and enemies to interact with. The pink Babomps are friendly and open up cannons for you to climb into and fire yourself to otherwise inaccessible places. There's penguins on the snow levels where you can rescue baby penguins to take back to their mums, race bigger ones down slides, or even use big penguins as a shield to prevent the giant snowman blowing you off the side of him while you try to climb up to the power star. Most enemies, however, are reasonably easy and are just minor inconveniences along the way. Even the boss battles with Bowser are not amazing, but they're fun enough. Grabbing him by the tail and swinging him into one of the bombs on the platform edge is really satisfying when you nail it. Those Bowser battles yet again emphasise the use of the Nintendo 64 analog stick. There you have to spin the analog stick around quicker and quicker to gain momentum while you've got hold of Bowser's tail to throw him into one of the bombs. You will have to use the stick as well to pull off acrobatics, and level of control is fantastic. There's no run or stand still only here. You can run, walk and tiptoe, so much variety of movement is just at the tip of your thumb. There's so many positives, but it's not perfect. The most obvious and glaring flaw is the camera. It was revolutionary in its time, with it being a free roaming camera in a 3D world, which you actually control. This was a novel concept back in 1996 and 1997. Now, of course, this is how all 3D games work for the most part with their camera. However, it is problematic. You control the cameraman, lucky to. Yes, the camera is an actual character in this game, who you control with the C buttons. Sadly, the camera, or lucky to I guess, gets stuck in some really awkward places, and sometimes it just refuses to get behind you when you need it for no obvious reason. Given the game isn't too hard, I have found that most of my deaths have been able to be attributed to the actual problems with the camera, sadly. It's easy to say what this game meant at the time of release, but is it still fun to play now? Is it worth buying in this day and age? My answer's yes, absolutely. Mario 64 feels like the perfect tonic against the criticised staples of modern day gaming, in that it throws you straight in the action and allows you just to go out and have fun. Aside from the previously mentioned camera problems, the only other negative I can really bring up here is that other games took the formula and improved upon it. That's not the fault of Mario 64, that's just other developers, Nintendo included, just built upon it. With all that said, Super Mario 64 I am giving 4 out of 5 stars. This has to be one of the first purchases when you buy a Nintendo 64 and it's still a fantastic game even to this day. Thank you all for watching the first episode of JameStation64. More reviews and content are in the pipeline, so please like and subscribe, and until next time, thank you so much and I'll see you soon.